Hi, friends, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Abair, and this is where I share my insights. And today I'm wondering, how do you go with the flow? Haven't you heard this advice before? Just go with the flow. Well, what is the flow? I'll give you my take on it. Stick around, and we'll unpack what it means to go with the flow. Today I want to talk about a piece of advice that's often a platitude, which is just go with the flow. While I happen to agree that going with the flow is a very good way to live, it's not always understood. And there are many facets to it. But essentially, this is just a love for living. And living without narration. Living without expectation. Living without need. Living without desire. Just being in the moment and enjoying being off script. Now, when I say off script, this would be a way of living without narration, commentary, always talking to yourself, or preparing a script, having some sort of expectancy, a budget, a plan, a plot. And that's what a lot of us, we do. We create plots for our lives. A script of how it's supposed to go. And when the director says, action, the other characters in your drama don't follow your script, including yourself. And so you get all bent out of shape because it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. I used to be one of these people. And you have to get to the point where you sort of get a knack for the improvisatory nature or the impromptu nature of life. And because I spent 25 years as a musician, I'm going to have to use this analogy to explain to you how this works. There is a groove, a hum to your life, a certain resonance that you're following. And there's a backdrop, a backbeat, a key, a light structure that you are to play with. It's like that Drew Carey series, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where they play that game and all of a sudden you're in this scene and you have to play with the variations. And nobody is better at this than Wayne Brady. That guy can make up songs on the spot. He can make jokes on the spot. It's a lot like being a jazz musician too. When you're playing in a jazz combo, there's certain sections where you have to improvise a solo, and you are solely relying on your skill. As a matter of fact, you're so good at your musical understanding that you can take chances in the moment. I often would have to do this as a church organist, and I would look forward to those moments in church where I needed to do something on the spot, like they needed music right away. And I could do that without any thought. My fingers would just do it by themselves. I didn't know what key I was going to be in. I didn't know what meter I was going to be in. Sometimes it flopped, and other times it surprised me at how good it was, particularly those magical moments. I played in a liturgical church, so there was lots of drama where I could really ramp up the organ and for Easter or Christmas. So there were many times I was just inspired in the moment and my fingers did the walking and the music just came up out of the top of my head. So I loved being off script. But then I had a very rigid script for my life. It was supposed to be this way. I was supposed to have this much money. This is when I was supposed to finish this. And my script never aligned, or I wouldn't say never, but it oftentimes would veer from reality. And I had to improvise, and I hated it. I hated having to go off script when I had to be at the doctor's office at a certain time and the traffic wouldn't allow it. Or my flight got canceled and I couldn't make it to this. You know what I'm saying? It's like life loves to suddenly shift and say, okay, go with this. And oftentimes we find ourselves still acting out the old scene when a new scene is emerging in our lives. And that causes suffering. We're not going with the flow. We're not picking up on the direction of our life, particularly when things leave us or when we change or we just don't pick up on the subtle signals of the flow. And in the Tao Te Ching, it's called the way. This is just you're in touch with yourself and knowing where you're headed. Jesus said, I am the way. And the way is improvised in the moment. Often. Life throws you a curveball. And you have to learn to love that variance. Now, this begins with a love of life. Loving life means that you love its so-called free will. Okay? Life wiggles out of your hands. It has this tendency to not be able to be confined to a script. That surprise is part of every single day. There's always some variance. Even if you have a scripted play, there's some variance as you repeat it. And so that's the flow. It's recognizing when you have to vamp. I taught music for a long time, so I kind of know this feeling. You get young people that want to be musicians, and they love music. But the minute you start talking about how to read music, how to count music, how to interpret music, and how to compose music, it's a big turnoff. So a lot of people don't have a knack for living because they do not have spiritual practices. They have, which are concepts. Reading sacred writings, listening to inspired speeches. This is the work of theory. And this is how the non-conceptual world comes in, through concept, through lots of studying of any spiritual practice would work. Meditation is fantastic, but a lot of people don't want to put in the work in the same way that a lot of people don't want to put in the work to learn music, so much that it can be internalized and improvised on the spot. So these jazz musicians, these organists, these composers that can make music on the fly have internalized something that few people have the wherewithal to study and practice. I've always admired Eckhart Tolle, who never prepares for a speech. He can speak in front of thousands of people for 2 hours, and he's captivating. No note cards, no memorized anything. It's because he trusts himself. He is in touch with a deeper part of himself which he allows to come through. And for those of you who do improvise music, you know what this is like. You're inspired. And you allow that to come through you at all times. So, being in the groove starts with a love of simply just the truth, which is that life can't be pinned down. Life will not be scripted. You will not be able to get ahead of yourself or outsmart yourself or over control yourself. The best kind of living is groove living, whereby you allow the moment to unfold and you keep your mind and spirit open. Okay, if you're in traffic, that's a cool variation. Let's go with it. While we're in traffic, we're going to do some deep breathing. That's improvising on the spot. See, what's so cool about the universe is that it always has wiggle room. And it's testing us. Can you go with it as it morphs and changes? Can you dig it as your life sometimes drastically changes? Some people don't pick up on the cues. The jazz band has gone into a different section and you're still playing in the key of E flat major, and the jazz band has already left that key. And so you get this dissonance. You're trying to play the old scene and the new scene has been called. I've gotten really good at noticing seasons like that. And if it turns cold, you put on a coat. Oh, this is an interesting one. Now we're in the winter time. I'm going to put on a coat. I'm going to make these adjustments. That's what makes life kind of magical. Now, you may know people in your life that cannot go with the flow. Someone dies, something goes wrong, there's a new sheriff in town, all these variances, and they can't dig it. That's because they're sticking in the mud. They dig their heels in, and part of our challenge is to dig it. Oh, I feel this beat. I get it. So your life is like an improvised scene. And what we're wanting to do is play with it. No, you just imagine you're in a sitcom or maybe a drama of some kind. You play it with a grain of salt. I am playing the character of Ryan Hebert. That's not who I am. My characteristics do not tell you who I am. There's something deeper that is being expressed through the physical features. But the physical characteristics are so convincing. So you can't totally script your life. Why would you want to? It gets boring after a while. I'm amazed at how many times my life has worked out exactly like I expected it. That's boring. Now, I live in a groove. Like, all right, what's happening now? What's going on now? I don't use those words in my head. I just sort of go with, that's what the flow is. The flow is the leader. This higher sense within you that seems to want to do things at a very high level. Doesn't want to be status quo. Doesn't want to be in a comfort zone. This thing wants to push you out there and see if you can go with it. And you learn to then lean into what you're afraid of and surprise yourself. That's what's so fun about living in a groove like that, is that you pick up on the cues, the subtle, silent background that seems to be guiding you into new scenes, new territories, new iterations of yourself, incarnations of yourself. That you, the story of the individual, wants to stay the same. You see? So, look forward to those moments where you have to improvise. Make light of it. Okay, this is... All right, now we've got this. Okay, now we have this. We're going to go with it. We're going to go with it with a great attitude. We're going to play out this scene and realize that our life is just kind of playful in that way. Even death, even when somebody dies, you'll have to play through the scene. You'll have to cry. You have to deal with the estate. You have to deal with a whole new chapter. And the question is, how well do you groove with it? If you go against it, it causes suffering. So this is what it means, in my mind, to go with the flow. To realize you're in a floating stream that's interconnected with every event. The whole thing is connected. And a lot of it is about variance and surprise. And thinking on your feet, being alert, and enjoying the improvisation as it unfolds. Now that scares people to death because they have to script everything. But I think our destiny is to get off book and to learn to make life, make it as it's happening, meet it as it's happening, with a great deal of playfulness as it arises in the moment. That's my take of going with the flow. I hope you can practice some of these things. It begins with a love for living. And living means spontaneous. A lot of you guys don't like spontaneity. Especially if it looks like something's tanking. That's the fun part. How do you go with the stuff that seems to be tanking? Well, a real artist would be like, the string quartet on the Titanic that played Nearer My God to Thee as the thing died. That's what I would do. I would sing a song as the ship goes down. I mean, that's what artists do. And all of my YouTubes have just been, I hit the record button and then that's it. I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out. I've thought about it ever so slightly, but those ideas just come to me. And then we hit record and we go and we improvise it. I don't do them again. This is a one-take thing. And it's fun. I like living and going with the flow like that. So think about some of these things, and I hope that they help you adjust to the flow. That you are the way, but you're making it up as you go along. And that's actually kind of fun. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com.